Right now, Biden's regulators are acting lawlessly because Democrats in Congress who hold the gavels will not exercise their oversight responsibility over the very regulators they confirm. They are looking to the next, the new day that's coming as well. When Republicans take back the majority, nothing will stop us from fulfilling our responsibility to act as a check on the executive branch. There have been ongoing discussions on the House side between our ranking member on the Financial Services Committee, Patrick McHenry, and his team, and the chair of the Financial Services Committee, Maxine Waters, in regard to stablecoin legislation, right? But what the Democrat chair wants in return for some reasonable stablecoin legislation, she wants a central bank digital currency. And I just, I don't, that's a no-go, obviously, for many of us. I think Ranking Member McHenry was trying to get them to a study. I don't even like that. But, you know, if you can get some reasonable legislation on the stablecoin side, we're not in charge right now. If you could do that without actually enabling a CBDC, perhaps it's something to talk about. But Tony, the reality is we have 11 legislative days left before the midterms.
How do you define a stablecoin, and do you feel like the government is on the same page with the private sector?
Largely on the same page. Hill Democrats and Republicans are in largely the same position around the key architecture of a payment stablecoin. A payment stablecoin is, first to level set with everybody, it is your on-ramp to digital assets. It is your ability to take what is your dollar and put it in digital form, right? We think of that commonly as we look at our bank account online and we think that's digital. It's not quite that way. So what that does is enable you to get into the world of other digital assets. So namely, Bitcoin, right? Yep. So in order to purchase Bitcoin, you have to take your US dollar and turn it into some digital asset in order to purchase Bitcoin. That's a step of the process.
Right.
So that piece called a stablecoin, which is taking a US dollar and making it basically a digital US dollar. We don't have a regulatory regime around it. There is no federal regulatory regime around stablecoins. So the key elements where we have agreement, one-to-one backing. So that means that your one digital US dollar has either cash backing it up or high quality liquid assets, which means treasuries, a very limited range of things, right? The things that will be about 100% of what it is today, tomorrow, and into the future. And that they have the full faith and credit of the US government backing it up. One-to-one backing, narrow range of assets, and three, a larger array of folks than just banks are able to issue it. Fourth and finally, federally regulated. And so those are the four key pieces, and we have agreement on those things. I'm optimistic we can get that first step of legislating around digital assets done over the next year or so.
I know they've been working on it now for a couple of months. They thought they were close. Then it fell apart. I know they're going to be working extremely hard over the next couple of weeks. We're going to come back, I think it's the 12th of September, for that short 12-day, whatever it is, before the 11 or 12 legislative days before the midterms. I just don't know that you're going to see any.
Biden administration has said they want stablecoins to only be issued by the insurance depository institutions in the U.S. Treasury's report on stablecoins. You oppose that idea. How far are you from where the Biden administration is? How far is the hill from where the Biden administration is on?
About 20% off. In the realm of Washington today, that is pretty damn close, right? So what they're saying is stablecoins are so risky, digital assets are so risky, that we should make them a part of the banks that blew up in 2008, which is counter to what Democrats have said for the last 15 years in Washington. We're supposed to de-risk these institutions. They could go back to the federal taxpayer and ask for a bailout. And I agree, we should actually de-risk these institutions. To have them in the world of digital assets, like issuing stable coins, I don't think is the answer. I think what we should have is a regime that has a special charter around what is a stable coin, and we regulate that very simply, very clearly, and you have a very low level of risk around that asset. And frankly, that's where my Democrat colleagues are. Some actually are much more expansive in this view of what they want stablecoins to do. I think we should have a very narrow view of this, very smart regulatory sphere, and allow the innovation to occur thereafter.
So it sounds like you're saying you think there needs to be a new regulatory regime to...
On stablecoins, I think you can give it to an existing regulator in Washington. Around digital assets, we have a bigger debate. So that first step of our debate around cryptocurrency and digital assets begins with stablecoins. I think that's sort of the entry point for all this stuff because it's a narrow range of issues you deal with. When it comes to digital assets, I think what we've had is what we've heard from the industry is some want the CFTC to regulate them, and they want digital assets to be considered a commodity. And you have others that say, please, dear God, don't let the Securities and Exchange Commission near me.
Those of us that have been pushing this for years are working with our ranking member, Patrick McHenry, to get ready for the next Congress. Working with our ranking member, Patrick McHenry, to get ready for the next Congress. We're still going to be talking about regulatory clarity, right? The Securities Clarity Act, the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act, the Safe Harbor for Taxpayers with Forked Assets Act. These types of things, we're going to continue to be talking about them, whether or not we get legislation through the committee before the end of the year. That's a big question, but get ready. Strap on your helmet starting in January of 2023, because I think when it comes to digital assets, get legislation through the committee before the end of the year. That's a big question, but get ready. A new day is coming. Well, first off, you're touching the edges of this, which I really appreciate, because you didn't ask it directly, but the issues that you're talking about, right, with the Ripple lawsuit, because they're related, we really can't. We shouldn't. I suppose I could, but we should not comment on the ongoing lawsuit. But I would say to you that going back to what I brought up, the reality is right now Biden's regulators are acting lawlessly because Democrats in Congress who hold the gavels will not exercise their oversight responsibility over the very regulators they confirm. And so I will just emphasize again, Tony, when Republicans take back the majority, nothing will stop us from fulfilling our responsibility to act as a check on the executive branch. And I told this to Gary Gensler's enforcement director. A new day is coming. So those listeners, those that you work with that are wondering what we'll do, we will be very aggressive in our oversight. And by the way, making sure that we hold them accountable once we confirm what we know they're doing. That's why I refer to it as the Wild West of regulators, the Wild West of regulation. Get ready. Strap on your helmet starting in January of 2023, because I get ready. Strap on your helmet starting in January of 2023, because I think when it comes to digital assets, we're going to be in for quite a ride. I think Republicans and Democrats will be ready to throw those jerseys off, get on the same team, and see if we can move some of this stuff. And then our biggest challenge at that point will be, Chair Gensler, Director Grunberg, Comptroller Sue, and the CFPB Director, who's frankly just been talk about a wild cowboy. It'll be holding them accountable and making sure that the president understands how significant this is to our economy and our future, so that we can get some of these things passed into law. A new day is coming.